Roger and I'm 67 years old. I'm a bilateral amputee and have been since January 2023. I received my first legs about 10 weeks after the amputation, and it took me 2 to 3 months to be walking reasonably well. After about 3 months I was walking around 2,500 steps a day. At 6 months I got it up to 4,500 steps a day. 6 months 4,500, a year 7,000, and now I'm averaging around 10,000 steps a day. The important things to me during the whole process are as follows. The most important, I think, was the pre-amputation meeting we had with the rehab consultant and the physios. At that meeting, we were able to discuss what I was doing before the amputations and what I was aiming to do once I'd got my new legs. It was a very constructive meeting, very helpful meeting to me, as it gave me an idea of what I'd be able to achieve and also gave me a timeline which had been a little lacking in the build-up towards the amputations. The other important thing, I think, were the exercises that I was given pre-amputation and post-amputation to make sure that I was in a physically good condition to receive the new legs and make the most of them as quickly as possible. Another important thing which came with the hospital and also Steel Bones were the meeting up with other amputees. This, I think, is very important because initially you think, help, what do I do? Am I the only one like this? But then you meet other amputees and you realise you're not. You speak the same language to each other and you can have a laugh about each other's problems, etc. And it's good fun almost, and you meet a lot of new friends. Set yourself small targets as well. Make sure they're achievable targets. And this, I think, works very well, or it did for me. And when you achieve them, give yourself a big pat on the back. Other people may not appreciate how big a target it was, but you do. I still do that even now, sort of 2 and a bit years after the amputation. And you feel good after you've achieved it. Things I did before the amputations that I still do are gardening, walking the dog, riding, not a bicycle but a tricycle. And I go bell ringing as well, which has its own challenges, like climbing up 36 spiral stairs. Each one is different and either higher, lower, narrower, wider. But that was something I did before, and that's something, another one of the little targets I set myself to be ringing before the first Christmas after I got the new legs. All of these things that I did before I can still do now. It might take me a little bit longer. I might not cycle quite so far or as fast. And the garden, I've adapted slightly to make it easier for me, but I still get a lot of pleasure out of it. So set yourselves these targets, put your mind to it, and I think you can achieve more than you might think. And I wish you all the very best for the future. Goodbye.
What is your name and age?
My name's Adam. I'm 54.
Lovely, thank you. How long have you been an amputee for?
Since September 2022.
And was that a shock for you, or was it planned?
No, it wasn't planned. I came back from holiday from Mexico with gangrene and sepsis.
What were your biggest concerns or fears before the amputation?
I didn't really have any fears prior to the amputation because I was back to the UK, straight into hospital, and told pretty much it had to be removed.
What was the rehabilitation process like for you?
For me, it was brilliant. I was lucky enough to go to the Lambeth Rehab Centre in London, where I spent 6 weeks uh, doing physio daily, which was a great help. Which is where I also found out about the charities to help afterwards.
And did you walk out of there?
No.
No. How long did it take to get your prosthetic?
Well, I got my prosthetic within less than two months. I got it while I was still at the rehab unit, so it was pretty much within 6 weeks of having the amputation, I had my leg.
And what did it feel like when you wore that prosthetic leg and you were walking?
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Felt like I was walking on air.
What kind of support has helped you during your recovery?
Local support, my amputation centre, and also certain charities, one being Still Bones.
What's something you can do now that you didn't think would be possible?
Well, I now drive a car again. That's a difficult one. It's amazing things I can do. I didn't think I'd be walking again, but I am.
And finally, what advice would you give to someone who's just had an amputation?
Seek advice, get help, and don't feel alone.
It's pretty powerful advice. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Vicky and I'm 40. I first became an amputee when I was about 7 months old. And when I was born, they found out that I'd had amniotic band syndrome, and parts just hadn't developed properly. So they amputated my right leg below my knee when I was about 7 months old. Around the same time, my left ankle was fused, and because of all the same thing, I've lost a couple of the tips of my fingers. So I've been an amputee for years and years and years. I know one thing that people want to know sometimes is what was I most worried about? Because I was so tiny when it happened, I didn't really know it was happening. I can't remember any of that initial time. I think for me, that's probably quite lucky that I don't remember it. Of course, for my parents and for my family, it was a huge worry. And there were lots of operations I had growing up, lots of adjustments made, lots of appointments, obviously. But that initial time that it happened, I think was more of a problem for my poor family. I can't remember wearing a prosthetic for the first time. I think I was probably about a year old, maybe a little bit more. I still have my first prosthetic. It looks very, very different now. My first one is very heavy. It's kind of got a leather cover on it with a leather strap that went above my knee and kind of did up like with a buckle. So it's very different to nowadays, thank goodness. So the rehabilitation after my amputation, I think probably was a combination of lots of different things. So it wasn't 40 years ago. So things were different then. I was a baby, so you kind of had to wait for me to be able to want to walk and move around. So it's probably a bit different, but I remember, mum and dad talking about it, and there wasn't really anything. I didn't have regular physio. I do remember my dad taking me to a hospital swimming pool, and we did some exercises in the swimming pool, but there was nothing regular, and there hasn't been for me personally anyway. As I got older, a few things cropped up that people thought, you know, a bit of physio might help, but that's been very few sessions, and only if I've requested it. So yeah, so rehabilitation was really, here you go, your baby's got the leg, go for it. Good luck. There have been lots of challenges growing up. Obviously, as I had my amputation as a baby, I've kind of gone through all of the stages. I think for me personally, probably my teenage years and early 20s were the hardest, with that self-image and confidence. And there have been some quite low times. But you know, I'm still here, it's still going okay. Yeah, it's difficult when you're in the thick of a time like that to kind of see a way out of it. For me, there have been times that I've had some medication to help. I'm very lucky to have a strong family unit that are very supportive, a brilliant close circle of friends, and you know, other places outside charities. You know, you go to the doctor and talk to someone, or you know, it might be that you need a bit of therapy. You know, in the past kind of, I don't know, 10 years ish, I've been involved with Still Bones, so you know, they provide a lot of support and they've been supportive to the family as well, which is great. So yeah, we just keep going, just keep going. That's how I've overcome them. So the support that helped during the recovery, the recovery from the amputation, like I said, there wasn't really any support. Mum and dad just sort of found their own way. And like I say, we're a strong unit. So I had their support as things happened, if I needed an operation growing up, or you know, new prosthetics made, things like that. So there's always been that support. Like I say, I've had a great circle of friends. Not always brilliant through school. You know, there was the odd bully or people with passing comments that weren't particularly nice. But yeah, that group of friends has really helped keep me grounded and keep me going. So something now that I didn't think was possible or wouldn't be possible. To be honest, everything. When I was younger and I absolutely hated being an amputee and I was finding everything very difficult. And I remember after one operation, the recovery took an absolute age. And I had lots of other complications in the recovery. It's really hard to kind of see forward past what's happening there and then. So now to look back on all of that and to see what I'm doing now, actually everything that I didn't think was possible. So I'm now a mum of two gorgeous boys. I drive myself anywhere. You know, I look after our home. I look after my children. I work. I do things that I love. I'm a singer, so you know, I enjoy going to rehearsals and practices and putting on concerts. I like to travel now, and I've done a little bit of that on my own, which is great. And yeah, really kind of stepped out of my comfort zone a little bit. So everything really is it's great that I'm doing. I've found growing up as well that support network, particularly my family, they were very much anything that I said that I wanted to do, they were very much, of course you can do that. You know, why wouldn't you be able to do that just because you're an amputee? It might take you longer, you might need to find a different way of doing it, but yeah, of course you can. So growing up with that mindset, I think set me up really well. to anyone that's just had an amputation, I would say take your time. There is no rush for any recovery. Stick to all your appointments. If you're given exercises to do to help strengthen, make sure you do them. Find that support, whether that's friends, family, outside charities, a nurse in a hospital, anything. And I would absolutely do your very best. It's very difficult, but I would do your best to not compare your journey to someone else's. I recently had a conversation with someone who was struggling, that they weren't where they thought they would be at this stage after their amputation. And they were saying, you know, we just want to walk like you walk. And I kind of had to gently remind them that I've been doing this. I've been an amputee for like 40 years. They've been an amputee for like 6 months. Like there is no rush. You can't compare anything. It's completely individual. So try to keep reminding yourself of that. How do I stay positive? This is a bit tricky. It has got easier, I think, as I've got older and had my children, because I kind of have to keep going for them. But there are still hard days, you know, when everything hurts, or you can't get to where you want to be, or you can't walk as far as you want to, and things like that. So for me, music is a big deal. Like I said earlier, I sing, I listen to a lot of music, and there's just something brilliant about a really loud power ballad in the car that seems to kind of get you out of a bad mood. Deep breathing is definitely something, and also just to take time for yourself, just to kind of regroup, take a few deep breaths and say, okay, today is not going to plan. That's okay. Tomorrow's another day. And I also try to remind myself of all of the other hard days that I've already gone through and survived. Like I've got 100% survival rate of bad days. And that's really important to remember. A really good chat with, you know, someone in your support group is really brilliant, and trying to have a laugh, which is really difficult sometimes, which I completely get. But yeah, trying to find a little positive. We've got a saying in our family that even on the most rubbish days, you need to try and find the silver lining. And it could be the tiniest little thing, and it's sometimes really, really hard to find. But yeah, if you can find that one tiny glimmer of something positive, even in a bad day, it kind of helps you just push forward to another day, which is great. And lastly, the message that I'd like to share with new amputees mainly is that you will be okay. It might not feel it. It is a huge life-altering thing, but you will be okay. You'll look back maybe in a year from now and you'll be amazed at what you've accomplished, and what you've survived, and things you've overcome. So keep going, and also accept all the help. All of the help. If someone offers to, you know, make you a cup of tea, let them. If someone says, you know, do you want to go out for the day? I know you're in a wheelchair, but I can do that. That's okay. Let them. People want to help, and it's really good to get out and about and accept that help. If you know, if you don't have family close by, or you haven't got that network around you, reach out. There are lots of amputee charities out there. Find the one that fits you the best. Like I said earlier, I go to Still Bones. They're all really friendly and work, but there are lots of amputee charities that will support you and help on those rough days as well. So yeah, keep going. You'll be absolutely fine. And actually, it might open up a whole new world and new doors that you didn't think would ever be possible. So yeah, keep going.
What is your name and age?
I'm over 21.
Yeah, lovely.
Um, my name is Richard Steed. I'm actually 83.
Oh wow, you don't look that, Richard.
Well, thank you.
Okay. So, when did you become an amputee?
10 years ago, 9 years ago, 9 years ago, on the 5th of April, 4th of April, no, 4th of, sorry, I've been told it's the 3rd of July.
Lovely, thank you. And what were your biggest fears or concerns at the beginning of the journey?
I didn't have as many fears as I have now. It was my choice up to a point to have my leg amputated. I was in so much pain. I didn't know what to do about it. I went to a consultant, and the consultant said, "Take it off." My wife burst into tears because I said yes. It's more of a problem for spouses, I think, than it is for the people who are going to have it done. But depends on the reason that you have your leg amputated. If you have your leg amputated because you've had an accident, it's a completely different thing. I've had 9 operations on my leg, and my leg wasn't a lot of use. I had so much pain. I was on painkillers all the time. The day I had my leg off, I didn't have any pain. It hurt because it'd just been hacked about, but I didn't have any pain.
Thank you, Richard. And thanks for sharing all of that as well. I know it's a difficult time. How did you feel the first time you used your prosthetic?
I was looking forward to it. I was a little bit frustrated because I couldn't do as much as I wanted to do initially, but I did quite well. I don't do as well now, but I did then.
And why is that? What's
That's
causing the issue?
other health reasons.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think you're doing incredibly well with everything you're battling with. So, what advice would you give? What kind of support helped you most during your recovery?
We didn't get any support really, and that's one reason that I joined Steel Bones, to try and get some help and support. But I got support from Steel Bones, but I didn't get support from anyone else.
And just 2 more questions. What advice would you give to someone who's just had an amputation?
Join Steel Bones before you have your amputation, not wait until you've had it, because then you can get the advice to help you go through the first part of it.
Brilliant, thank you. Last question. How do you stay positive or motivated on difficult days?
Not very well now. I used to, but I don't do it. I don't keep as motivated so much. I was motivated a bit more when I was a volunteer for Steel Bones, because I had something to do. I still do a little bit, but not a lot. That's it, really. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's John Whitman. I'm 43 years old. I am a below elbow amputee. right elbow amputee, and I wear a below elbow prosthetic arm most days, probably around 12 hours a day. I would say that I probably wear a prosthetic arm as a result of needing to, because of the work that I do now. The prosthetic, I have one which is a myoelectrical, which works off your muscle impulses, and I wear a activity arm, which this one is, and you can actually take the individual attachments off to do the various different activities of which you want to do. What helped me in my recovery at the very beginning was the fact that we are very fortunate enough to have some pets. We had dogs, and they helped me both mentally and physically, kind of getting out of a state after my amputation. They were very comforting, and they were kind of there, and they encouraged me to sort of get up and obviously take them for a walk, which then helped with my physical sort of activity. I also decided to join a local gym and get my natural fitness level up to a level of which I was able then to return back to work. So that really did help me, and I had the great support of my family behind me as well, and friends. I also joined Steel Bones, and just having them in the background and knowing that I could find out information that I required through the start of my journey as an amputee. I feel like sort of the best tips I would probably give a new amputee on their journey would be to contact Steel Bones. The resources that they have and the knowledge that they have, and just the general sort of relaxedness of the charity allows them to be able to give every individual person 100% sort of guidance. There's no silly question. The more questions you ask, the more you're going to get as much information you require. They are always there to help in any way. If you didn't go down the route of communicating with Steel Bones and getting that sort of information, the best way I would say is literally speak to another amputee. If you can find another amputee and talk to them and find out what their story was, you'll find that probably helps you in your own recovery. So yes, my key tips would be my personal key tips that I've done and I've used, and the ones that I probably share with a fellow new amputee would be: one, always communicate as much as you can through resources like through charities, or contact individual amputees for their knowledge and experiences on their journey. And I hope that helps. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's Graham. I'm 64 years old. I'm an above knee left leg amputee. I've been an amputee now for about 9 years. How long did it take to wear a prosthetic leg? I was measured quite early at approximately 5 weeks for a socket. Then at about 8 weeks I got my leg and had to start practicing walking at the physiotherapy department. My leg was actually kept at the physiotherapy department until I was deemed safe to take it home. At approximately 10 weeks, I was deemed safe to take it home, and I brought my leg home and I started to walk around with using a walking frame. I then moved on to crutches, a single crutch, and then onto a single walking stick. I also actually used to walk around my home by using the furniture, which actually helped me get my balance a little bit better. When I was walking outside, I used to either use the frame, wheelchair, or actually crutches, and gradually onto walking stick. What was really useful during recovery? I always tried to keep active. My wife and I used to go for walks with me self-propelling in my wheelchair. Long term, this has helped me with my stamina when I was walking. I have a galley kitchen and I constantly practice balancing, much to the disgust of my wife because I was always in the way. Balance obviously is a fantastic help when you're actually an amputee. And I think also it's important to try and develop your stamina, because actually walking as an amputee is actually very, very energy sapping. What advice would you give to new amputees? I think first and foremost, don't be too hard on yourself. It's not the end, but it's different. You will have down days, but also great days when you achieve things. Accept that a socket can be uncomfortable, but build a great relationship with your prosthesist to help you make it the best it can be. I think importantly, don't suffer in silence. Actually, if it's wrong, then actually mention it, and they will do their best to help you get it to the best it can be. Keep a sense of humour. It can help lighten the loads a lot. Humour can be a little bit of a defence mechanism, but I've always found that it helps me. Talk to your peers, talk to your loved ones. They can be a great help. Seek out your peers and ask for questions. Remember, you're not alone.
What's your name and age?
Andy Wesley, and I'm 71.
Lovely, thank you very much. How long have you been an amputee for?
9 years.
Was that a shock amputation?
It was for me. I had an infection in the foot and the leg was amputated.
What were your biggest fears or concerns at the beginning of your amputation journey?
Not being able to do the things that I was doing at the time. I was a paramedic tutor within the health service and a high-speed driving instructor. And that was great. But then the diabetes caught up with me and I lost my leg, and then my sight went a little, so I'm now partially sighted, so I can't drive, and sitting in a passenger seat was the worst bit.
What was the rehabilitation process like for you?
In actual fact, at Addenbrooke's, immediately we were told to do exercises before we did our rehabilitation. And the physio came to us in the ward, or to me, and she gave me some simple exercises. And she said, the more you do these, the more chance you've got of getting a leg. So I did it to the extreme, and I went down to the gym with her the next time, and she said, need you to do this, this, this and this. So you've got to get up off the floor yourself. You've got to get up onto a table type thing, and then you've got to be able to use weights on your leg to lift, and then you had to sustain pressure around your leg, and we did all of those things. And I got back to Peterborough, and in Peterborough they said, well, it's not given that you'll get a leg, you know. You have to be able to do certain exercises. I said, which ones? These, and showed the consultant. And the next day I went down to physio, and it just happened to be that there was a prosthetist there. He measured my leg, went on holiday for 3 weeks, and then came back and fitted it. And that was me done. But it was the fear of not walking again.
And how long did it take for you to walk again?
8 weeks.
8 weeks, wow. What kind of supports helped you most during the recovery?
The rehab unit at Peterborough were excellent. Jess in particular, the physio there, she's superb. My wife works for PALS, so I've got an immediate into that area, and we get on very well with them. And if I have any problems, I went to Jess and she would help me out. When I first lost my sight, she walked me with a cane to get me moving around. And then I had a problem with my leg fitting, and she referred me to Steel Bones. And from then on, Steel Bones has been superb.
What advice would you give to someone who's just had an amputation?
Listen to the physio, do your exercises as directed, in fact do a bit more if you can, and just think positive, be positive right the way through, and you'll come out the other end.
And on those toughest days, Andy, how do you keep positive? What do you do?
After I've had a cry, because I do, I just think, well, what can I do that's going to make somebody else's life better? And I'll work with the RNIB, and I'll work with Peterborough City Council and other groups, and it's good. Yeah, I like doing stuff.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.